So I'd like to welcome Leticia Medwell, Library Manager Digital Services from Australian Catholic University, who will be talking about their use of Lean Library. And Leticia is also joined by Gertrud and Huef, Library Applications Administrator, also at ACU, who is on hand to answer questions after the presentation. So I'll just stop sharing my screen. So hopefully you'll be able to share yours.
Okay, thank you. Just let me know. Can you see my screen okay?
Yes, we can.
Okay, well, thank you for the opportunity to and inviting me here to talk to you about Lean Library at ACU. As you said, my name's Leticia Medwell. I'm the Manager of Digital Services at ACU, Australian Catholic University Library, and I'm based in Ballarat in Victoria. I've been at ACU for 30 plus years in various roles and various levels. I'm just going to talk to you today about how we've implemented Lean Library and what we're planning to do with it in the next little while. So I look after the digital services team at ACU. So digital services is a team of 8 people. We're a dispersed team with members working out of Brisbane, Sydney, Melbourne, and I'm in Ballarat. The team looks after the configuration and management of library systems at ACU, our library management system, discovery, authentication, integrations with other university systems. We administer our library guides, LibGuides, our online reference and chat. We look after the library website. We look after the library presence in our student portal. We're involved in user experience, communications. We also look after RFID, security and self-checks, privacy, data retention, and we also triage help requests or reports of issues and stuff from library staff and other library staff across ACU. So it's a reasonably small team, but with a fairly broad scope. And one of our tasks in the last year or so has been to implement Lean Library for ACU as well. Just before we continue, in recognising Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people's spiritual and cultural connection to country, and in continuing ACU's commitment to reconciliation, I'd just like to acknowledge the First Peoples and traditional owners and custodians of the country where ACU campuses are located, and the rest of us as well. We respectfully acknowledge our elders past and present and thank them for their guidance as we walk in their footsteps. As I mentioned, I'm based in Ballarat in Victoria, and that's Wadawurrung country. I also did want to acknowledge, before we go too much further, my colleague Gertrud. I really have to give her all the credit for this. Gertrud has done all the legwork in implementing and customising Lean Library at ACU and has done a really, really great job, and we're really, really pleased. So just before we do start, I thought I'd spend a little bit of time just introducing you to Australian Catholic University. So ACU opened in January 1991. It was an amalgamation of 4 Catholic tertiary institutions in Victoria. So one in Victoria, New South Wales, and one in Queensland and ACT. So now, over the past years, we now have 8 campuses across sort of the eastern side of Australia. So we have Ballarat in Victoria, we have Blacktown in Sydney, we have a campus in Brisbane, we've got a campus in Canberra, Melbourne, North Sydney. We do have a campus in Rome, Italy, and we have a campus in Strathfield in Sydney as well. We also have a leadership centre in Adelaide. So our Ballarat campus is our only regional campus. It's a beautiful blend of the old and the new, with magnificent gardens. The image you can see on the screen there is of Carn Bray, which was once a beautiful old family home. And if you're familiar with Ballarat, our campus is located quite close to Lake Wendouree, which is a really lovely part of our city. Blacktown, St Josephine of Paquita campus in Western Sydney is our newest campus. It opened just in 2021. And it's a partnership with the Blacktown City Council and currently operating out of refurbished existing buildings, but with more purpose-fit buildings, facilities coming soon. Macaulay at Banyo is a gorgeous campus in Brisbane's north. It was, and there still is, a seminary, a Catholic seminary on campus. And the Banyo campus sits high on a hill overlooking the surrounding areas. Again, it's a mixture of the old and the new. The image you're looking at here is the St John Paul II building, and it's complete with that beautiful glass facade and the lovely reflections of the chapel and other buildings on campus. Our Canberra or Signadu campus is another historic mix. It was a Dominican college of education in years gone by and has really unusual octagonal buildings and the most amazing rose garden in the middle of one of those. The building you're looking at here, however, is the Veritas building, and it opened just prior to COVID and houses the library and other student facilities in Canberra.
Excuse me, Leticia.
Yeah.
I think you're not moving through the pictures. I can't see the individual campus buildings.
I've only got one slide with all of the campus buildings on it.
Right.
Yeah.
Sorry, Leticia.
Melbourne is St Patrick's, is our largest campus. It sits on the edge of the CBD in Victoria Parade, Fitzroy, within easy access of the cafes and shops of Brunswick and Smith Streets. You're looking at the Daniel Mannix building here, and we'll open the new St Teresa of Kolkata building later in 2023. North Sydney, MacKillop campus is within walking district of the North Sydney CBD and backs onto residential areas. The North Sydney campus itself, it has a number of older buildings, but we've also moved into a lot of high-rise spaces in the surrounding streets in North Sydney. The picture on the screen for North Sydney here is the Vice-Chancellery, and it's got a beautiful chapel on the left-hand side with a lovely stained glass window that you might be able to just see. Our Strathfield or Mount St Mary campus has beautiful old buildings and generous grounds. It's surrounded by residential properties, and it was previously a large country mansion, the building that we're looking at here, Mount Royal, and it has a number of offices and the campus cafe in it. Our Rome campus is just 3 kilometres from Vatican City. Haven't been there yet, but like pretty much everyone else at ACU, if my hand's up, if I get an opportunity to get over there, it would be lovely. But they're the 8 campuses that we have across ACU at this time. In 2022, our total enrolments were 33,000 students. The majority of our students are domestic undergraduates with smaller cohorts of postgraduate, higher degree and international students. So we've got 4 faculties, education and arts, health sciences, that includes paramedicine and physiotherapy. We've got the Faculty of Law and Business and Faculty of Theology and Philosophy. Our largest faculty is health sciences, followed by the education and arts, and then law and business with theology and philosophy coming up at the end. So ACU post-pandemic, while many lectures and exams remain online, there are a growing number of students returning to our campuses for tutorials, practicals and so on. Lots of staff have flexible working agreements in place with a combination of on and off campus work. There's a focus though on the university, within the university, on revitalising our campuses and really encouraging a vibrant campus life and bringing staff and students back on campus. And we put a lot of energy into our student life and student facilities. COVID too has changed our libraries just a little bit. So most of our campus libraries now are staffed between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. Monday to Friday. Our library spaces and collections are open at other times, including weekends, and that's via swipe card access for ACU students and staff. We very much encourage self-service. So we have had self-checkout for quite a long time, but we now have self-check-in available. We encourage the use of our chat service, which is 24/7 during semester. Students and staff can, of course, make appointments to meet with library staff for more in-depth discussions, queries or research needs. Online resources and tutorials are the norm these days, with a smattering of face-to-face sessions as well. But like our campuses, our libraries are looking at ways to bring people back into them, encourage students back into our library spaces. So that's what ACU looks like. Now just to take you through and talk to you a little bit about Lean Library and what it looks like at ACU. So I'm aware that some of you may not know much about Lean Library. I just thought I'd quickly go through what it is, but also then tell you a little bit about how we've implemented and what it looks like at ACU. So what is Lean Library? It's a browser extension that works with all the popular browsers. It has a number of different features, but I guess the main ones for me are the pop-up options that meet students where they are out on the web and guide them back to our library resources. It's simple to download and install, and when a student or staff member first installs the Lean Library extension, they're asked to choose or allocate or assign themselves to their institutions, and this sets things up so that Lean Library knows that they're from ACU. So as I said, there are a few different things that Lean Library does. The first one I wanted to just talk to you about is the access pop-up that we have access to. So the access pop-up uses the information about our e-resources. So we've given Lean Library details about the e-resources that we have access to, so it works with that e-resource list plus Open Athens to facilitate access to content from the web when it's available. So in the example that you can see on the screen here, I'm at home, I'm nowhere near the ACU network, I'm on the internet, I'm searching for my topic, and I find a really great article, but of course I'm greeted by a paywall. If I have the Lean Library browser installed, and you can see up the top of the screen, there's just a little round aqua-coloured circle with LL in the middle of it. That's the Lean Library and browser extension. So if I have that installed on my browser, Lean Library will check the URL that I'm on against the list of the e-resource list that we've given them. And if ACU has subscriptions on this website, it'll display the pop-up telling me that ACU has access. And then I can just click on the Get Access button, and I'm taken through to Open Athens. I sign in using my ACU username and password, and I'm returned to the article and can see the article. So the second option that we have for Lean Library 2 is Lean Library Alternatives. So the Alternatives pop-up, this time it uses DOIs and ISBNs and integrates with our Alma U-Resolver to direct students to an alternative source if there's one available, and that includes open access resources. So in this case, I'm searching the web for a book. I find it at Dymocks, but of course I'm asked to pay. If I have the Lean Library browser extension installed, Lean Library will tell me that ACU has access to this book, and I can follow the link in the pop-up to get through to that access, to get through to that item. The third ones I wanted to mention to you are the Lean Library Assist messages. So these messages allow us to communicate any message, anywhere, anytime. So the assist messages are associated to specific URLs. So in this case, I'm searching the internet and I'm perhaps looking for EBSCO. I come across the EBSCO publisher page. It's not easy. That's not where I can find the databases. But if I have Lean Library installed, we've set up a message on this screen saying that ACU has access to the EBSCO databases, and if you follow this link, we'll take you to them. The second example that we've got here is another assist message. Is in this case, I'm searching the internet and I come across the Peters Online Journals website. If we have Lean Library installed, I get a message that tells me that ACU has access to this journal, but unfortunately, it's on campus only, so I can't access it from home. Another nice example is where I'm searching the internet and looking for a newspaper. I come across, in this case, it's The Australian. I come across that. I find I can read some of the content, but I want to read more. Again, if I have Lean Library installed, it will tell me that I receive a message saying that ACU has access to the newspaper and given a link to get through to that newspaper. If you just notice with this one too, this is an assist message, but we've actually made it look like an alternative message. We can customize the look of it so that it looks like it's an alternative message. So they're the really pop-up key features of Lean Library, but there are some other really cool ones as well. So the one that's on the screen now is highlight and search. And with this feature, you can actually highlight any text that you find on the web. If you've got Lean Library installed, you right-click on the text, and if Lean Library is installed, it will open up and allow you to search for that term or that phrase or that word in a particular search engine. So in this case, we've got ACU Library set up, so our discovery, but we've also got it set up so that you can search Google Scholar for that term. I think you can have up to 5 different search engines set up in that way. We've just got the 2. So that's highlight and search. Lean Library also integrates with Google Scholar and with PubMed to facilitate access to ACU full text when you're using those resources. If you haven't set the library links in Google Scholar, if you haven't set the library links feature up manually in Google Scholar, once installed, Lean Library will actually do that for you. So it activates it automatically. And it has a similar sort of functionality and behavior in PubMed. So it integrates with those products as well. We're also looking at one of the other features that we've got that we've set up at ACU is the integration with LibGuides from SpringShare. So with this integration, you can associate one or more LibGuides with a particular URL. So for example, in this one, we've got the EndNote homepage. And what we've done is we've linked our EndNote LibGuide, so our ACU institution-specific EndNote LibGuide to this particular page. So students who come along and have the browser installed, they'll see the little icon on the main website. When they click on that icon, they will see other options. So we've got the option there to contact ACU, to check out the library guide, and also they can chat with us via our SpringShare LibChat. So they're the key features of Lean Library. Why did we go down the path with Lean Library? Well, even prior to COVID, we knew that our students weren't starting their searches, so their search for information at our library, our physical libraries, or even online. We knew anecdotally that they love the search engines, they love Google. That's where they're starting their search for information. So yes, we knew that anecdotally, but we also, this is also supported by the Librarian Futures report that Lean Library published in 2021. And if you haven't read it, I encourage you to have a look at it. So this international study found that 79% of faculty and 74% of students start their search for information away from the library. And this means that a large portion of our students are potentially being blocked from information that they should have access to, they do have access to, because they're not following the path that we want them to take. They're not starting their search at the library and going through all of the along the track that we want them, that gives them that access to our library resources. So they're missing out on a whole lot of information potentially. But rather than insisting that students do what we want to do, well, we want to try and meet them where they are, and we need to insert ourselves into their workflows so that they don't have to do things the way that we expect them to. And like other academic libraries, we spend a significant amount of money on electronic resources. And so we started asking the question, you know, are we getting the best return on investment for those resources? So we wanted to do something. We wanted to sort of increase access and make those pathways available for students. So in 2021, we started investigating moving to Open Athens as a replacement for our authentication. And Open Athens comes with a bonus of institutional login at point of need, meeting students where they are. And while investigating that Open Athens, we attended a presentation by Carolyn Gould from the University of Melbourne. And she talked about how they'd implemented Lean Library at Melbourne Uni, and we were really impressed by the product. And so we identified Lean Library as another opportunity for us to meet our students where they are and to guide them back to our library resources. So our Lean Library implementation started late in 2021, and it was really quite simple and straightforward. We first implemented with EasyProxy because even though we knew we were going to be moving to Open Athens, we wanted to use our EasyProxy configuration files to set up Lean Library. So we chose to move ahead with the implementation immediately. One of the nice things about the EasyProxy and Lean Library is that Lean Library has an automated update feature for EasyProxy. So it's nice and easy to keep your content up to date. But because we knew we were moved to Open Athens, we chose not to do that at this stage. Looking back, we probably should have spent a little bit more time tidying up our e-resource list before we imported it into Lean Library. And in fact, Carolyn suggested we do this, but we didn't quite listen. So if you do go down this path, tidy up first. The tidy up was necessary to remove some unnecessary URLs in the stanzas that we had. And whilst that didn't make a difference in EasyProxy, it did make a difference for Lean Library because we saw some stuff that we didn't really want Lean Library to display. We also had a little problem because we had 2 locally hosted proxy servers and Lean Library we weren't able to configure both of them. So we configured one of those servers. But because of the server issue and because we knew we were moving to Open Athens, we had a really low-key launch of Lean Library in 2022. Once we moved to Open Athens, we needed to do some reconfiguration for Lean Library. We took that opportunity to really clean things up and tidy up our e-resource list. And that took a fair bit of work, but it was really worthwhile. And Gertrud spent a lot of time customising and testing the features of the various pop-ups and on and off campus. And we've had lots of questions for the Lean Library team, and they still are very, very patient with us. So they've been really, really great. We launched Lean Library to our library staff and conducted a small campaign to promote it to students in 2022. Now that Open Athens is bedded down, we'll be promoting Lean Library much more widely to students in 2023. What do we love about Lean Library? Well, it guides our students who start their research on the internet back to our library resources. It meets our students where they are, and that's part of what we really want to do. It's really clear who's providing the access, and that it's ACU who's providing the access. We can customise the look and feel of the pop-ups to match ACU branding. We like the flexibility of the different types of pop-ups. The assist pop-ups allow us to provide more than just access. We can provide messages, and we really appreciate the responsiveness and the highly professional and patient Lean Library support team. As I said, they've been really fantastic. We had a couple of issues, as I mentioned, the Easy Proxy, the server issue initially, but that was resolved once we moved to Open Athens. We do see access and alternative pop-ups happening sometimes where we don't need them to, where they're not needed and we don't expect them to. And we've been talking to Lean Library about that and why this happens and how and when it can be resolved. The integration that we have with our LibGuides is problematic for us, but that's because of the setup of our library guides. And again, Lean Library are working with us to try and resolve that. Our feedback has been limited because we haven't done a lot of promotion so far. Lean Library's been really well received by library staff. We had one student who contacted us and because they felt the pop-ups were intrusive, but Lean Library does allow students to customise some of the setup so that some pop-ups don't display, and of course they can turn it off. And our usage numbers are not where we'd like them to be, but they're trending up overall, and we really expect them to increase dramatically this year when we really do that focused promotion and encouraging people to use the product. So what's next for Lean Library at ACU? It's going to be promote. We're going to be doing some campaigns this year to really get the message out there about this product, because we think it'll be really helpful for students and staff. We'll be looking at whether we might use the assist messages in different sorts of ways. Haven't really thought that through as yet, but we'll be looking at that. And we're also looking at the use case for our library guides and whether we can, how we can best use that particular integration as well. And that's in a nutshell, Lean Library at ACU. So thank you. And if you have any questions, we'd be happy to try and answer them. Gertrud's here. And if you wanted to reach out to us, then our email addresses are on the screen. But thank you very much for your time and attention.